Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Jeremy Blair.
And I'm Rain Wayland. So who do you got right there?
Well, this is our new producer for the show. This is little Miss Maya. Maya, say hello. Look at her cute outfit. Very chic.
Yeah.
Very reserved. Very demure.
Oh, God damn it! You beat me to it.
Look at how sweet she is. She's so sweet.
Wait, if she's our new producer, how much of a cut is she getting?
A lot.
Because because I don't know if we could afford her.
She demanded quite a bit in the negotiations.
Oh God.
Sorry, that's our other producer off screen, fixing her bow. So those of you who are just listening to the audio, I highly recommend going to YouTube to see this little beam of light straight from heaven. Look at this little angel.
Yes.
Oh, she's so sweet. All
yes.
right. Well, she's gonna go back to her board meeting. So here we go. Bye-bye.
To discuss the future of the show.
That's right.
Because she saw the numbers of the solo episodes, and she was like, she's like, Dad, I don't know if you need to be a part of this.
Yeah, it's like I think your time is up.
No, I made that joke with Ashley. I was like, I guess the audience just doesn't like Jeremy, apparently. He's been gone for 2 weeks and I'm getting all the views.
All of them.
No, I honestly believe, truly, it's because those episodes were only 30 minutes long.
There's two things people love. People love reviews of brand new movies that come out, and people love physical media. So
apparently, yeah, I guess we got to switch it up now.
Guess so.
And that's why today we are going to be talking about Transformers 1.
Boom. Let's do it.
Dude, can I say, it is shocking to me how well that movie's doing. I saw the trailer.
I don't know.
I saw the trailer and I was like, there's no way this is good, man. I mean, the last 4 Transformers movies have been awful.
Yeah. Well, it's different. This is animated and it's it's
an origin story.
It seems a little more cheery than the other ones.
Are you saying Michael Bay is not cheery?
Yeah. Yeah, I would be so bold as to say that he's not super cheery. I would, and everyone loves Brian Tyree Henry. So
that's true. Yeah. Everyone loves the lemon.
That's right.
For those of the listeners who have actually seen Bullet Train
and Paperboy, Atlanta. So,
dude,
yeah, but everybody does. Everybody loves Brian Tyree Henry. So,
wait, but we gotta corner those Eternals fans who really like Fastos.
That's true. Yeah. However, I do want to give a quick, oh my God, this movie is so good. I just recently saw The Wind Rises.
Oh my God, yes.
Incredible. I absolutely loved it. I thought the sound design was amazing. There people are making the sound effects for like the engines and the turbines and the rudders and the so these aren't like Foley artists necessarily. They're more like voice actors doing the sound. So I really like that.
Yeah. So for everyone who doesn't know, I mean, you can kind of tell if you go back and listen to our Perfect Blue episode. I have tried so hard to get Jeremy into anime, and I feel like for a lot of people, and I feel like I mentioned it in Perfect Blue, that I got you to watch Cowboy Bebop, which is usually the gateway for anime. Like you start with Cowboy Bebop and then it just snowballs. But I would say a lot of people might agree that Studio Ghibli is also a good gateway. And I remember like trying so hard, like, dude, watch Spirited Away, watch Howl's Moving Castle. Because I knew you wouldn't like My Neighbor Totoro. Because it's a little it's a good movie, but it's a little too cutesy, a little too like, But I was like, I know he'll like Spirited Away. I know he'll like Howl's Moving Castle. But you kind of gone the opposite direction of Hayao Miyazaki's movies and gone newest to oldest.
Yeah, because I also saw
you saw The Boy and the
Heron.
Heron.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen that yet. I think I'm gonna watch that on my lunch tomorrow.
You should.
But dude,
it was
The Wind Rises.
Yeah, The Wind Rises. I would consider The Wind Rises, Grave of the Fireflies. I would consider Perfect Blue, and even to a certain extent, Cowboy Bebop. I would consider those Japanese animation and not anime.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider like, I don't know, simple shit like Naruto. Like that's anime. Like I'm not into that, and I never will be. By the way, but I consider especially The Wind Rises and Grave of the Fireflies. Those to me are Japanese animated films, and they're not anime, because anime is sort of there's a sort of fantastical fantasy, over the top, dramatic, like action, facial expressions, things like that.
Yeah,
that I don't like, but I could watch The Wind Rises forever. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, it's so good, man. I'm really glad you liked it.
Yeah,
and it's a very different Miyazaki film, because it is sort of a biography. I mean, it's a historical fiction.
Yeah,
but it is based on a real person from Japan, and and his experiences. And I remember Ashley and I getting, like, I bought The Wind Rises because we had heard about it, and I just remember watching it and being completely blown away. And see, this is a good thing for you that you've seen The Boy and the Heron. At the time, The Wind Rises was meant to be Miyazaki's final film.
I read that, yeah. Which, now that I've seen some of his, like, to me, I think The Wind Rises will probably be, for me, his best work. But like, I've seen a lot of the popular stuff, and I can't imagine anyone being okay with that, because he's just too good, I guess. He's pretty old, though. He's up there, isn't he?
So, he's 80.
Oh, yeah. That's up there.
Hang on, everyone. Everyone, he's 83.
83, that's up there, man. So I get wanting to slow down. In fact, this is a phenomenal segue to our film today, because whenever a filmmaker gets to their later years, they make some of their best work, but also things start to happen in their personal lives and makes it harder and harder for them to make films, or it discourages them, or they're realizing that all of this might come to an end eventually. So which is a great segue into Kurosawa. But this is your pick, so you go ahead.
Yes. So if anyone remembers, because I specifically brought it up in last week's solo episode, this week we are discussing Akira Kurosawa's adaptation of King Lear with Ran. When I told Ashley that that's what we're doing, she was like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "It's Ran,
or Ron, or however you want to pronounce it."
Yeah, she was like I ran. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, "Y'all should open the show with that song." I'm like, "Yeah, unfortunately, that song doesn't fit with a King Lear adaptation.
Not the vibes. Yeah,
not the vibes." So this was a first watch for the both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because I distinctly remember, and I feel like I mentioned it in the physical media episode, but if not, I distinctly remember you telling me about the 4K slip book, the 4K steel book with the slip cover.
So cool.
And you're like, "Dude, you got to get it. Like, it's so cool." And you're like, "It's Kurosawa." And by that point, I feel like we'd already done Seven Samurai, Ikiru. I know we hadn't done High and Low yet. But by that point, I was sold. Oh, we'd done Rashomon. So yeah, by that point, I was like, Kurosawa, you had me at Kurosawa.
That's all you need.
You're like, that was literally the last thing I said, but cool. And yeah, this was so different, but also very, very Kurosawa, you know. I also like that this is the first movie we've done of his in color.
Yeah.
Which threw me off. I was expecting black and white because that's all I've ever known.
Sure.
Which of course I know he did. He transitioned to color later in his career, but all I've known is black and white. And so when we get the opening titles, I'm like, oh, we have color. Cool.
Not only is it in color, but it's bright, it is vibrant. It makes a statement. Especially with the color associations with each brother, and their armies, which I really liked. I liked the way that looked, and just even, oh my god, even just the shots of the king or the lord, or however you should say it, with him on the edge of the wall, talking to his daughter-in-law. That shot is gorgeous. The sunset is perfect. It is my understanding it's not a matte painting. This was shot outside. That is a real sunset. So I mean, it's yeah. I mean, this film is incredible. Probably the best looking one in terms of Kurosawa.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everyone. So time for us to actually do our jobs. So
Sure.
Here is a brief synopsis of the film. Again, it is an adaptation of King Lear, and it follows a lot of the same kind of story beats as King Lear, but Kurosawa changing certain things here and there. But in Japan, there is, I believe it's pronounced Daimyo, which is just a warlord known as, oh my god, I know his name, but like I didn't.
There's no way to remember.
We'll just call him the father because everyone calls him father.
Ichimonji is his last name, so we'll go Ichimonji because the rest of their first names are pretty easy for the brothers. So, Lord Ichimonji.
He Sure. Hang on. How'd you say it again?
Ichimonji.
Ichimonji.
Yeah.
Ichimonji. He is known throughout this area of Japan. He has the title of Great Lord, and he's getting older. And after a very vivid dream, he decides it's time to step back and hand the reins to, as he says, a younger generation to lead the Ichimoji clan. And he passes the reins to his oldest son, Taro, and tells his second and third son, Jiro and Saburo, you're going to support your brother. I'm still giving you both land and castles, but you're going to support your brother. With the addendum that he, Ichimoji himself, gets to maintain his status and title as Great Lord. So even though he's letting his son essentially run the family business, he's like, but I'm still going to be here and you're still going to report to me, but you're running everything. Toro and I have their names up. Jiro are, let's be honest, ass kissing. They're like, oh, great plan, Dad. That's yes, absolutely. We respect your wishes. But Saburo is like, no, why would you even, why? That doesn't make any sense. It's not a good plan. Honestly, is it because he's too scared that it's going to lead to conflict?
No, to me, Saburo's decision to, because finish your synopsis and we'll get there.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so Saburo tells his dad, this is a bad idea. You shouldn't do that. And not wanting to be disrespected, Ichimoji banishes him and enacts his plan, essentially. But almost instantly, it has its repercussions. Toro is essentially succumbed to all this power and also being manipulated by his wife, which we'll get there. And tells his dad that you can either submit all your authority to me or you can get out. So his dad's like, well, fine, I'll go see your brother. And Jiro pretty much says, like, Dad, I would like to help you out, but Toro says, if anyone helps you, it's punishable by death. So I can't help you. And essentially, again, Toro being manipulated by his wife, who seeks revenge against the Ichimonji clan, convinces Toro and Jiro to essentially lay a trap for their dad and kill him to essentially seize all the power. But during said siege, Taro is accidentally, in quotes, accidentally killed, and so Jiro becomes the head of the clan, still being manipulated by Taro's wife,
Lady Kade.
Kade. She tells him, you need to kill your wife, Sue. And all while this, Ichimonji is wandering the desert, going insane. And forgets who he is because he's just really submitted to or succumbed to his insanity. But it's Saburo who pulls him back, and Saburo forgives him. And all his dad and all Ichimonji wants to do now is just rest. But then Saburo is killed, which leads to a siege of the main castle. And ultimately, everyone dies. This story does not have a happy ending.
No.
And that's Ran. And also King Lear, in a way. Sort of. So I was not expecting this movie to not have a happy ending. Seven Samurai has a kind of happy ending. Ikuru sort of has a happy ending. I mean, Rashomon didn't really have a happy ending necessarily, but I really was not expecting this to have, like, no one gets a happy ending. Not even Sue's brother.
No, it's all very pessimistic. So all right. So I guess we could start with the story is, yes, it is a retelling of King Lear. However, it didn't start off that way. Originally, it was supposed to be a retelling of the parable that Ichimonji tells in the beginning of the film when he's demonstrating how working together and how being loyal to your family will protect the family with the arrows. So he gives each brother an arrow. He tells them to snap it in half. Each brother snaps it in half. Then he gives them 3 arrows bundled together each. And so now they're each holding 3 arrows, and they can't seem to bend and crack it because together it's stronger, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a well-known and popular parable in Japan. And the way that Kurosawa deviates from that in this story is he has Saburo try a little bit harder and snap all 3 arrows to prove that all it takes is a little bit more and you can snap the arrow. It's not, yes, it's stronger together, but they're not unbreakable. And so that's really where the story kind of started, and it kind of morphed into sort of a King Lear story. And so Kurosawa ended up going, okay, well, let's do a little bit more of this King Lear stuff, and then we'll tie it all together. And so to answer your question from earlier, I think that and this is where King Lear comes into play, is the two older brothers will do anything to seize power. They know that their father only wants to hear praise. They know that all he wants is to is to be told how great he is and how smart he is and what a great strategist he is and how every idea he has is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Saburo, he's more of a realist. He goes, listen, I love you, but that's not a good idea. I think it's stupid. I think it's silly, and I think it's going to backfire. And I think that's a bad idea. He is willing to disagree with him because he loves him. But that's not what Ichimonji wants. He
Mm-hmm.
wants yes men. And
Yeah.
in King Lear, one of his daughters wouldn't tell him that she loves him more than this or more than that, or loves him more than she loves whomever. She said, I love you just the right amount. I love you just the same as I always have. And her older sisters were saying, oh my God, no, we love you more than. And so that's sort of where the ego comes into play, and where Ichimonji and King Lear just wanted their ego inflated and to be praised. And so that's why Saburo gets banished, because that's not what Ichimonji wanted.
Yeah.
Yet he was so blinded by that he's not seeing the repercussions of having these two brothers, his sons, that will, as he just witnessed, do anything and say anything to gain power and control.
Mm-hmm.
What I also love about this story, and I'm not sure, I don't think this is a King Lear thing, is Ichimonji is not a heroic figure. He is
Mm-hmm.
someone who has decimated people and families and dynasties to gain his power and control. And we see the
Mm-hmm.
aftermath of that with Lady Kade and her sister and brother.
Mm-hmm.
That this was their castle, this was their kingdom beforehand. And Ichimonji decimated the entire family and their people, left them
Yeah.
as some sort of, sick punishment. Um, and now she's out for revenge, which becomes extremely important later on. And so I really
Mm-hmm.
like that aspect of the story as well, that that we have someone sort of silently pulling the strings for Ichimonji's downfall. Because in a way, he's earned it. He's earned this downfall. He's earned this failure, and to have his kingdom stripped away from him.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes for a complex story, because if he were just this angelic, heroic figure, I don't know, it would seem unjustified, the stripping of his kingdom and the taking of his castles.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I did do some research into King Lear and like the story itself.
it's complicated.
It's very complicated. I really thought it was going to be easy. I even found a video on YouTube that was like yeah, in a nutshell, here's the story, and I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
a 3-minute video, and I'm still lost.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But from what I gather, King Lear in the play isn't necessarily a bad person, or at least I don't know. I'm going based on that video,
Right.
So yeah, I agree. I think it made more sense to make Ichimonji this revered villain. Honestly,
yeah. In some people's eyes, he is the villain. He is this revered warrior. He is the victor of these massacres, and it's poetic how his story ends up, because not only is he this dominant, narcissistic, egotistical figure, he is completely aware of it. when he goes
Mhm.
to see his daughter-in-law, in that beautiful shot,
Yeah.
on
And
the
again,
top of that wall.
I think her name is, it's pronounced Sue,
Thank you.
I believe.
When he goes to see Sue, um, he's he's annoyed by her respect, um, because he is fully aware of what he's done. He said, "You should hate me," and he wants her to.
Mhm.
Um, I think he's a little caught up in his own emotions at that time, anyway. Um, just because Toro already kicked him out, um, and he's looking for refuge in Jiro. But I I really I love that. I love that he is completely aware of his past actions and how he got to where he is. And so during that, to me, maybe one of the greatest battle sequences I've ever seen.
Dude, yeah, I remember watching that, um, the siege of the third castle, and I was like, I believe we talked a lot about the battle sequences in our Lord of the Rings series, but man, even though Peter Jackson pulled it off and it's great, and I think everyone can agree that it's great, that doesn't hold a candle to what Kurosawa pulled off. It was truly a spectacle to behold.
Stripping away the sound and leaving tense, ominous music, um, and the reactions of Ichimonji, um, will outstay any loud, bombastic battle scene you can give me. Because again, I feel in that scene that he is completely aware of the ironic justice that's happening, because this is exactly how he gained power, and so of course this is how someone else is going to take it from him.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it in his face during those, I mean, unbelievable shots of him taking refuge by himself in that room, narrowly avoiding arrows. Not that he's moving.
Well,
Um,
and it's, I think it's also because he wanted to commit seppuku, but his main katana is broken,
right,
and his extra ones are gone.
right.
So he's just like, well, whatever happens, happens.
Kurosawa famously painted the storyboards for this film. He was an accomplished painter as well as a brilliant film director. And the paintings are haunting. If you have a chance, look them up, or Rain, if you want to flash them on screen, if you can. Some of them
Yes.
are just incredible. I mean, the way he captures Ichimonji and the way the actor portrays him is brilliant, and it is haunting, and it's devastating. And by just that stone face of his that is shocked, that is devastated, but sort of understanding, because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, of course it comes to this. um but yeah, I mean, it's such a brilliant scene, and of course the color. Oh Jesus, I mean,
Dude.
the color is
And
incredible.
and I love that, and it made me think of, maybe this is where Tim Burton got his inspiration for the blood in Sleepy Hollow or Sweeney Todd, making it so bright
Yeah,
and almost like paint.
yeah.
Because dude,
I wasn't
it's
expecting it to be so violent. I think because you're right, I'm so used to this sort of restrained black and white Kurosawa that we usually get. Um, I was surprised by the blood and the violence and the gore, um, but I loved it. But I was surprised by it.
well, and again, like you just said, do you think that's because, going based on, like, let's take Seven Samurai for example,
Sorry, that was me.
Who's emailing you right now?
It's my wife, as a matter of fact. It's Haley, and she's in the other room, so I don't know what she's
doing. Sorry, that threw me off. Like Seven Samurai, which is also I would say equally violent.
Sure.
But I think because, like you were just saying, that's in black and white, it's almost in a sense restrained. We don't see the blood. Like when I think we talked about it, that wonderful shot of the two samurais towards the beginning of the movie facing off, and they slash at each other, and one was successful and the other one wasn't.
Yeah.
We don't see a blood spray or anything like that, but then like when Jiro's general Koronge beheads Lady Keita,
Yeah.
and we get that blood splatter on the wall, I was like, oh,
oddly satisfying and cathartic, even though you could argue that she was justified in all of her actions. I mean, I'm not saying that that she's the villain by any means, even though it feels that way at times.
I think so. Okay, going on my very basic knowledge of Shakespeare, when he writes tragedies, because I would definitely consider a tragedy, no one comes out on head. Everyone is scheming, everyone has their own agenda. And so I think you're right that at times it does feel like she's the villain, like especially when she attacks Jiro and then subsequently seduces him.
Yeah.
It does make it feel like, okay, well, she's the villain, she's plotting against this family. But then you're constantly reminded, and I think Kurosawa wanted that this family did terrible things.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, maybe they deserve it.
Right, especially Jiro, because Jiro, I mean, he didn't himself kill Taro, but he kind of did.
He made the call.
He made sure it happened, which is fascinating. It happened off screen.
No. Well, I mean, we don't see the trigger person, but we hear the shot and we see Jiro.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, or Toro fall off his horse.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Now I'm thinking about it, I think that same thing happened to Saburo. We don't see who pulled the trigger on that.
No, that one we do. We see Jiro's snipers hightailing it out of there.
I see. That's right. I'm so used to, like a shot, reverse shot of like gunman, target, shot, gunman,
like with the killer.
Sure. Hey, check out our killer episode. Yeah, so with Lady Kade, I thought her development was fascinating because we also have her influencing sort of the B story. I call it a B story just because he drifts off into this other story with Ichimonji and the Fool. I forgot his name.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna be able to say it.
There's no way, right?
Kyoami. Kyoami. Kyo. Oddly enough, the actor's name, I shit you not, this is what it says in the credits. I'm looking at it. The actor's name portraying him is Peter.
Yes. The reason for that is that he identified a lot with the character of Peter Pan, and so he decided his name should be Peter. I looked him up because he was so fascinating looking that I was like, who is this person? And now this is what it says in the research. It is not a politically correct term, but he was a famous transvestite in Japan because of his androgynous appearance. So
yeah, I just read
the women.
Yeah, I just read that too.
So,
anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, Ichimonji is on the sort of B story with the full. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name again.
Yeah, don't
And
worry.
Tango,
Mhm.
his sort of advisor.
Which, by the way, I think that with uh, Tango, whatever, um, and and Kiwami, is that they were initially banished, like Saburo. Yet,
Mhm.
with these three characters, Saburo included, they're the ones that come to his rescue. They're the ones that are the ones that truly care about him and aren't willing to just tell him what he wants to hear all the time. I think that that's really the lesson that Ichimonji learns, is that if he were to learn a lesson, um, that the people who cared about him were only wanting what was best for him and the family and the community and the kingdom, even if it meant disagreeing with him. I think he was too narcissistic and egotistical in the beginning of this story to see that. And of course, by having everything stripped away from him, he really has he has no ego left.
I agree. I agree, which would explain his pretty rapid descent into insanity.
Which is a King Lear thing, because King Lear goes insane
Mhm.
after his kingdom is stripped from him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it might be something else at play that, to use a term that they probably definitely didn't have, it would be disassociating, because here it is, your sons are doing this to you, not, not like any, trying to find the right words, but essentially, like, these boys that you raised, have done this to you, have kicked you out of the kingdom that you built. So do you think it would be him disassociating?
Sure, I think it could be a little bit of dissociation or shell shock.
Mm-hmm.
That, yeah, you're right. This wasn't some foreign enemy. This was his family. Turned on him and wanted him dead. I mean, that's a lot to process. And then, of course, everything is taken away from him. The only people that are caring for him are the people that he banished, and so he's having to come to grips with him constantly making the wrong decisions, him underestimating people who care about him, and overestimating people that want nothing but to take power and control away from him, and who never cared about him at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's having to juggle all of these things all at the same time, and of course that's disorienting and a lot to bear and to handle. And so, yeah, disassociation, shell shock. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Now I want to go back to the captain, and let me pull up his name again.
Challenge.
Koronge.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially Jiro's trigger man for Toro.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I love that he does not like Lady Kaneda
At all. Yeah. Which, you can't blame him, because he knows exactly what she's up to. He knows she's manipulative. He knows that she's out for revenge, and that she harbors so much resentment and hatred for Ichimonji and the kingdom. And of course, again, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, because Ichimonji is self-aware of all of this.
Yeah.
The fact that, and I love the scene where he goes to see Toro and Lady Kade when he was first appointed the power, and Ichimonji is having to, as he said, sit beneath her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's just the lady of the house. That's not how it works. Yet, this is sort of the first indication that he's probably made a mistake.
Yeah.
He's put the wrong people into power, and it's not going to bode well.
Yeah. I love how spectacularly this backfires on him so quickly.
It's fast.
You know, because, and again, Kurosawa does such a great job of, you know, setting this announcement in, you know, this field, and, you know, we're seeing shots of the sky, and, you know, and so it's like, oh, like this is a really good, you know, moment, you know, the great Lord passing down his power to his sons, you know, time to let a younger generation lead.
Yeah.
And then almost within a few days, it's like, nope.
Yeah.
You did
yeah, it backfires on him very quickly, almost instantaneous. Poor guy.
Yeah, it's kind of glorious, to be honest.
Yeah.
And well, honestly, I actually think it really kicks off once he kills that guard for Taro.
Yeah.
Which, and I get it. I get
he was going to kill the funny guy. Can't do that.
Yeah, he was gonna kill his fool. So you know what? I'm gonna kill him first then. And I love that Taro's like, you know, that guard was defending my honor, and it's like, well, okay, so I don't understand, you know, but it's because, like we've been saying, he put the wrong person in power.
Yeah.
Now here's a question.
Sure.
Here's a question. Do you think the story, not the movie necessarily, just the story, would have played out this way had Ichimonji seen son of a bitch, I've been saying his name and now I just forgot it. Saboru, if he, you know, took what he was saying and was like, you know what, son, I respect that you disagree with me, and he put him in power, do you think it would have played out this way?
No, but then again, probably, because I feel that Saburo wouldn't have accepted it because he thinks all of it is a bad idea.
Yeah,
he thinks that if you're alive, you're in charge. Let's just keep it like that. Yeah. And I think, you know, him wanting to divvy up the power and sort of give over control to the sons while still alive and while still able to rule, I think is very silly. Although there are moments in the very opening with him showing that he is aging and it is affecting the way he is acting and thinking. I mean, that's fair too. But no, I don't think Saburo would have accepted the power anyway. So I guess in short, yes, it would have ended up the exact same.
Okay. Yeah, because I was sitting here thinking, I was like, you know, because I feel like if Saboru had taken over, you know, maybe all hell wouldn't have broken loose. But then, of course, you know, Lady, fuck, we've been saying her name too, Kade. I feel like her scheming would have probably still gone into effect. Yeah, I still think it would have ended in tragedy. The brothers' lust for power definitely would have gotten them killed. Yeah. But now, okay, I'm going to ask you a hypothetical.
Sure.
Because Saboru shows up kind of as the White Knight, shows up to save the day.
Yeah.
Briefly. Because he married that other lord's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, you know, since that lord that Saboru married into, do you think he, you know, obviously he sieged the first castle.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think he assumed, like, any survivors? Do you think he kind of like moved them into his clan?
I mean, probably. Because that's exactly what Ichimonji did.
Yeah,
That's why Lady Kade is there in the first place.
that's true.
And her sister,
Oh, I didn't think they were sisters.
I thought they were sisters.
Sue?
Yeah, Sue. I
I
thought
don't
they
think
were
they are.
sisters. I thought, but maybe not. I just assume so because if Lady Kade is saying her family was massacred during the siege of the castle, then when Ichimonji goes to see Sude and says the same thing about her family, I assume it's the same family. So,
Well, but remember, they were rummaging around the ruins of Sue's family's castle.
different
So I
family.
don't think they were sisters.
Yeah.
I just know that I just know they just gouged out her brother's eyes.
Yeah. Which
Dude, okay, well, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say, dude, the fucking reveal that they still ended up killing Sue after Korange got her out.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah. Yeah, with the material they wrapped her head in.
Yeah.
And even the reveal shot of, her body in the field, I thought was pretty pretty jarring.
Yeah.
But this brings up, okay. So speaking of Sue and her brother, so this brings up an interesting concept in the film that isn't touched on a whole lot, but it is important, and that's religion, and that's Buddhism. Sue and her brother are Buddhists, and they have complete faith in Buddha, and they believe that through Buddhism they're able to forgive Ichimonji, or at least Sue is, and understand that that's just the way their life is gonna go, and that this is just the way Buddha wants it, and this is the way that it has to be. Which I thought was fascinating. But what's even more fascinating is that the film ends, the entire story ends with her brother not throwing himself off a cliff, but throwing a picture of Buddha off the cliff.
Well, and accidentally too.
Well, I feel that it's poetic because it's, Buddha failed them.
Okay.
And, religion failed them, which I thought was an interesting way to end the film, because I don't think that it was that prominent within the story itself, just with that family in particular. But I thought that was really interesting, which we can also segue to Kurosawa's use of weather. That the more the story progresses, the darker and grayer and windier it gets, which I thought was fascinating, because that's hard to control when making a movie. So
yeah, especially it's almost like the story and the weather kind of go hand in hand.
I agree. Yes, 100%. And Ichimonji even mentions and references the sky a few times, and we get shots of the sky, and I find myself hypnotically tranced whenever they're in the field of tall grass during the whipping winds. I mean, those shots to me are magnificent. I know it's just wind and grass, but it's just so different. Here, at least the places I've lived, grass doesn't get that tall or that thick. And we don't have these sweeping, landscapes, just, of open fields. So I find those shots to be incredible, and just beautiful to look at. This movie is gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, it really is, and I feel like we've talked about it in the past, that Kurosawa's use of the camera for everything is just gorgeous. His use, I mean, like, the shots of the sky at the beginning of the movie are just,
Yeah.
it's it's almost like what we've been saying, like, there's no way that's not a matte painting.
Yeah.
Because it's so gorgeous. And I if we haven't talked about it enough in the other 3 Kurosawa movies we've talked about, no, 4, doing High and Low, the man knew what to do with a camera. Like, he knew where to place it, he knew how to move it, and it's insane.
This is a fun piece of movie trivia for you. The assistant director in this film is Ishiro Hoda.
Okay.
He's famous for directing Godzilla. So I know. So he ended up becoming a very prominent director. And isn't that fascinating? Or I guess he may not have been the assistant director on this film, obviously, because
Otis.
oh, maybe he
Sorry,
was.
everyone.
Hang on. Yep, it's his chief assistant director on Ran. So which is fascinating because Godzilla came out in 1954. This is 31 years after Godzilla.
After.
So he's already created one of the most successful films of all time, and he's being an assistant director in Ran. I mean, that I guess that tells you the power of Kurosawa, and just people just flock to Kurosawa to make films.
I mean, look, there's a reason why Kurosawa was such an influence on George Lucas.
Yeah. Agreed.
But anyway, okay, I want to talk about some more of the shots that just were so mind-blowing. Like when Ichimonji is coming down the stairs during the Battle of the Third Castle, and he's just in shock and horrified. And I love the makeup that they put on him.
Yeah.
To make him look older, but also more sickly, and but I love that shot of him just coming down the stairs and him just dragging his empty katana sheath and just defeated, no one really knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Especially because they were so convinced that he was going to perform seppuku.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just kind of like, oh, he didn't. What do we do? And they just let him go. They just let him wander.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the testament of Kurosawa painting the storyboards. I think if you have an artistic painterly reference, I think that makes the shots a little bit more put together, organized, like with the composition and with like the color and with the values. I think again having him paint, because his eyesight he was almost completely blind by the time principal photography started.
Really?
So really he was just going off these paintings. He was going off, right? I mean, his eyesight was really failing him during this time. So it is incredible how good this movie looks because he really couldn't see. So,
well, see, I mean, that's more evidence right there, man, that Kurosawa just, I've been trying so hard to to have Ashley watch one of his movies. Like, I even was like, I think you'd love Ikuru, and she was just like, I don't want to have to read a movie though. I'm like, but it's so good. I mean, there's a reason why Spike Lee is remaking High and Low.
Yeah.
God, I hope that movie's good, dude.
I hope so. We'll see. Well, in this time, it's you mentioned Ikuru, Takashi Samura, who plays Ikuru, or who plays Kanji in Ikuru, frequent collaborator with Kurosawa. He's in almost every film that he had done up to that point. He had passed away, I think in 1981.
Okay.
He had another collaborator. I think it was one of his cinematographers he worked with frequently had passed away. Not too long before they started filming. There was a day they halted filming. One day. Kurosawa's wife of 39 years passed away. They took one day off for him to mourn the loss of his wife, and then they continued filming. So this film, again, it's sort of like it's reminiscent to me of films like The Irishman.
Okay.
Because The Irishman is a culmination of years of collaboration and years of telling similar but different stories of organized crime. And we're seeing the aftermath of organized crime. We're seeing the negative consequences and the I don't know, the way it negatively affects you and the people around you. That's what The Irishman is. This is sort of the negative connotations of what happens when you win. What happens when you decimate an entire place and you become successful? What happens then? This is what happens then. So to me, and of course, these are coming in what, in Kurosawa's case, is the tail end of his career. In Scorsese's case, not so much, because he still has quite a bit to go, I'm sure.
Yeah, we would hope so.
But it comes after a very long stretch of a career. Like after decades of filmmaking. So that also comes into play. Just, this is a filmmaker that is revered, that is loved, that is cherished, that is seen as one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. And he makes something like this nearing the end of his career after a very long career. That also matters when you're watching something like this, if you're aware of stuff like that. I think that impacts the way you watch it also.
I would agree, I think we sometimes forget that, especially with a filmmaker like Kurosawa, who's, of the movies we've done and of the movies I still need to see, has not made a bad film at all. I think people forget that because you're like, well, they're all good. Like, how is this movie how is this movie any different if they're all good? And I think you're right, is that with a movie like Ran, this huge, massive career that here, let's see, like from his first film to this one,
it's like 30 or 40 years.
So yeah, his first film was in 1973 or 1943. 1973, Jesus Christ. 1943. And this is 1985.
Yeah.
So this is 42 years of making films. And you're right, man. It's a masterwork. And I was reading that it is widely regarded as his magnum opus.
Yeah, because after this he did Dreams, and then he did two other films.
He did Rhapsody in August because I
Yeah.
was like, I remember a movie with Richard Gere. And then his final film was, I believe it's pronounced Medeo. Medeo. It means not yet. And it was his final film, and it was selected for best foreign language film at the Oscars.
So yeah, I mean, we're reaching the end here, and for his career, and you're right. I think that, especially the way it looks and the subject matter, he is one of those filmmakers where when he makes a film like this or like Rashomon or Seven Samurai, I don't think of them like I don't think about, oh, there's a camera there. Does that make sense? I think he immerses you so well in the time. I think it's probably due to I know nothing about medieval Japan.
Yeah.
I can't recognize if the dialogue is accurate, you know? So to me, I mean, he nailed it. I don't know, so there's nothing to take me out of it. So to me, it's all accurate. It's almost like I'm there in medieval Japan.
I agree. I definitely think he immerses you. I mean, if we didn't talk about it enough in Rashomon, especially, I would forget that there was a camera at all. And you're right. We don't know what's true or what's not true. Especially like what you said, nothing to take you out of it. Because if you're anything like my wife, if it sounds like they shouldn't be talking that way, yeah, she's taken out of it.
Yeah.
Like when I try to show her,
This is the Amadeus story.
Yes, yes, and they said stupid, and she was like, they would have never said that. I'm like, how do you know? This was Germany, this was France. Like, how do you know?
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't recognize if something is inaccurate because I don't speak the language, so it's fine. And for as far as I know, they did wear vibrant colors like that. Who I don't know.
And I'm 90% certain they probably did. Like,
why not?
I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Kurosawa is a master of filmmaking. Out of the movies I've seen of his, I haven't disliked any of them.
I agree, man. With the criterions that I still have, that I need to see, that I've owned, besides Dreams. Dreams is on my list, and Bad Sleep Well is on my list.
That one's good. I've seen that.
Of the ones I owned, Hidden Fortress and Throne of Blood. And I'm really excited for Throne of Blood because that one's his adaptation of Macbeth.
Yeah, that's right.
When I told Ashley what this film was relatively based on, and then I told her about Throne of Blood, she was like, does he do that a lot? I'm like, not really.
Kind of. I think The Bad Sleep Well is also Shakespeare, and I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think it's Hamlet.
No, Throne of Blood's Hamlet.
Oh, Throne of Blood is Hamlet? Oh, then I don't know what Bad Sleep Well is.
Hang on, everyone shut up.
Yeah, one of them's Macbeth, one of them's Hamlet.
Oh, no. I think you're right. No. Yeah, Bad Sleep Well is Hamlet. Throne of Blood is Macbeth.
Yeah. Which essentially, like, now, if you want to think about if the Bad Sleep Well, if that doesn't grab your attention, is The Lion King. There you go. So, or is The Northman, or you know what I mean?
Dude.
Highly recommend The Bad Sleep Well. I loved it. I thought it was great.
But yeah, and I really want to see The Hidden Fortress because, again, that was another big influence for Lucas creating Star Wars. So
I was really disappointed that Toshiro Mifune wasn't in this one.
well, didn't we say that
Did they have a falling out? Is that what happened?
they had a
Yeah.
fall? I believe they had a falling out
Yeah.
because I think it was Seven Samurai. Was the reason why they had a falling out because
No, I don't think it was Seven Samurai because he still did High and Low. High and Low was 63, so.
yeah.
But man, I mean, anything. I know we were talking about Ikiru earlier, and that, and I already forgot that actor's name, but that he was a frequent collaborator. To me, when I think Kurosawa and I think Kurosawa films, I think Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah.
And I was really just, I think he would have made a great Ichimonji, if I'm being honest with you. But whatever. I mean, we'll never know.
Yeah, or maybe it was High and Low. That was the one that caused them to have a falling
I remember
out.
we talked about it, so it must have been High and Low because that was the. But he was also in the Bad Sleep Ball, and I don't remember when that one was.
That was 60.
Okay.
And he was also in Yojimbo and Sanjuro.
Oh, you're right. And then High and Low. I wonder if he was in Redbeard. Yes, he was in Redbeard.
I think it was Redbeard
Had to have been.
had their falling out.
Yeah, which is a real shame because they were amazing together. But anyway, we digress. Rain, are you ready to wrap up?
I am.
I almost never get to say that.
Yes, sorry. Redbeard was, I just saw that this would be their final collaboration. I think he was getting tired of Kurosawa's filming schedule.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, you take the good with the bad, you know?
Yeah. You put them both together. It's the facts of life.
Okay. Yeah, man. So, Ron, incredible. Loved it way more than I thought I would. I knew I would like it. I really loved this one. I do see myself watching this more than once.
Yeah, man. I knew, same with you. I knew I would enjoy it, especially by this point when I'd bought the movie. I was like, all right, I'm on the Kurosawa train. But I was a little worried that maybe I was going to have a hard time understanding it because like we discussed, I don't really know King Lear that well. Yeah. Macbeth, I know very well. Hamlet, I know kind of well. And of course, Romeo and Juliet. But I didn't know King Lear. So I was like, man, this seems very daunting.
Yeah.
And then I remember putting it on. And I'm like, oh, this is actually fairly easy to understand. And yeah. But I, like yourself, I was so blown away by the visuals. And the just again, kind of like what we were saying at the top of the show about Hayao Miyazaki, man. Kurosawa, he can't miss. He cannot miss.
Yeah, I agree. I really loved this one. Yeah, definitely will revisit. Yeah, just I mean, visual, stunning masterpiece. I really enjoyed this. So, yeah.
Well, buddy, now that we're kind of getting back in the swing of things for season 10, it is your turn.
That's right.
To pick.
Yep, sure is. I'm looking at them right now.
I want to see if maybe I might be able to guess what you may say.
What do you think? Well, it's tough because the way our lists are working this go around, there might be a time where we're going to do an accidental like series of films in a row. And I don't know if I want to break that up or not. Because we have a lot of a certain filmmaker on here. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if we're going to do like an accidental, like, here's a whole bunch of his movies in a row. I don't really want to do that. But I don't know. Let's see. Let's go with something fun. That this is just amazing to listen to. I'm sure of it. People are just like, God, what is he gonna pick?
Oh my God.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Let's do a weird one. That'll be fun.
Okay. Right? Okay.
You want to do a weird one? Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do a weird one. Change my mind at the last minute. Okay. Next week, we are going to dive into a filmmaker's debut, which is interesting. I always like visiting directors who are now pretty well known, and seeing how they started and what kind of kicked off their style, if they even have one. Next week we are talking about Rian Johnson's Brick.
Ooh.
Which to me, Rian Johnson, I love pretty much everything he does. I hated his Star Wars, but
disappointing.
He disappointed me. All right, because he's a better writer than that. Mainly because I'm judging him off of this movie. Brick is brilliantly written. It's an incredible subversive film noir that subverts your expectations. I don't know. I really enjoyed Brick when I saw it the first time. Yeah, and it's great. So, yeah, and of course, Looper, incredible. Knives Out, awesome. Yeah, Rian Johnson.
Glass Onion?
Yeah, no, I like Glass Onion too. So. We'll see how the next one goes. You know, who knows?
God, I hope it's good.
Yeah, he did.
I think it'll be good.
I think too. Rian Johnson, that I'm missing. I'm sure of it. Fun fact: Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in every Rian Johnson movie.
Even in Knives Out?
Yes. So when Ana de Armas her family's watching TV in the kitchen, his voice.
Oh, that's right. It's that.
Yeah.
It's that fake show that they're watching.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, Rian Johnson, Brick, next week. Yeah.
Nice. You know what? I'm excited, man. I love Rian Johnson. As people just heard me say, I defend The Last Jedi backwards and forwards. I think it is a phenomenal Star Wars film. And of course, I'm sure I would get blasted for that. Like, you're not a real Star Wars fan if you like The Last Jedi. But I disagree. I think The Last Jedi is fantastic. And I will die on that hill. But I am really excited because, like yourself, I love Knives Out. I thought Glass Onion was great. I can't wait for, I think it's the third and final movie of the Knives Out trilogy. But yeah, man, I'm excited.
So, also Breaking Bad fans, I forgot who just released the list. There was a publication who just recently released a list of the 100 greatest episodes of television. Number 1 was Ozymandias, directed by Rian Johnson. So,
nice.
And Ozymandias is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest. They're probably right. The greatest episode of television so far. So, yeah, man, I'm excited.
Nice. Yeah, man, can't wait. I'm gonna have to find it. Because yeah. But all right, everyone. Well, we hope you enjoyed this return to season 10, and we will see you next week for Brick.